This is the Spirit and Wellness Show. News and information from a higher perspective. With your host, Harry Wilkinson. Yes, this is your host, Harry Wilkinson. And welcome to the Spirit and Wellness Show. This is the show where we look at the days and weeks events happening and I will say this, beyond the physical. And I will say it because that's what my take on it is, that there is more to us than just our physical bodies. Even to look at that from a physics standpoint, you can certainly see that the human body is made of energy, and energy changes form, and energy exists on different levels, and we find more and more about that every day. Modern physics is just starting to understand or grasp these things that mystics and other people of a spiritual mind or a metaphysical mind have been talking about for centuries. But now we're on the dawning of this new age where we actually have scientific evidence, or that science is edging closer to coming to a fuller understanding of such things. So when we understand that we are creating everything in our world, it helps us to, one of the biggest things that it does is to let us feel less powerless. Because as out of control as things can seem sometimes, as powerless as we may feel sometimes, we actually have all the power that we need. So by going into the various stories and information that we are exposed to that may make us feel overwhelmed, that may make us feel saddened, or may make us feel even overly excited, or may just play on our darkest fears or our most prurient interests. When we go into those stories and we take a look at them and we understand that we are creating these for a reason that is very different often than what it might appear to be, that we at the highest level of our being create these situations so that we can have experiences, that we can experience the different feelings and the different aspects of any situation. Because at the highest level of our being, we don't experience any of that, because we are powerful beyond measure. We are divine mind. We can't experience weakness. We can't experience fear. We can't experience any of those things at that level of our being. So we create a world in which we can sort of put ourselves into situations, kind of in a way that where you might play a game, where maybe a virtual reality experience, and there are certain rules. You take on a character that has certain abilities and also certain weaknesses that they believe they have. And so by having those sort of rules or guidelines, you are able to have experiences in that game. Well, what I'm saying is that kind of is how it works on a meta sense in our world. You know, what we experience in the mundane are things we've set up at a higher level of ourselves. And so when we start to understand that, and we look at what these stories tell us, we look at where we've come and where we're going, or where we might be going, and we realize that it's a gigantic, great illusion that we've created, that we've become involved in, that feels so real, that feels so detailed. Us to gain a further experience. And so once you are able to do that, you've gained power over the situation, and on top of it, without even having to, you know, if it's a situation that is was disturbing to you or something that you wanted to change, without even trying to change it, once you enter that state of mind and you take that energy from the situation, it automatically changes because you've gotten what you needed to get from it. And so it's with that kind of perspective that I approach else. Um, this is a show that helps you to take that higher perspective, to take that step back, hopefully. And I've been doing it for myself, to remind myself to do these things. Because just like anybody else, I can get swept up in everything too. It's very easy to do. And it's only when you do take that step back that you remember the truth of who and what we really are. And that's what it's about. So this is a best of show. We're going to be talking about the topics, the shows that were the most popular over the past year, that people had the most interest in, and what were the most popular shows and what were the most popular topics that we covered. And we'll also look at some of the best wellness tips for the year. So we'll look forward to getting more responses from you on the shows and the topics that you were interested in. So we'll start with, we did several shows on mind over medicine, on the ability of the mind to heal itself. We talked quite a bit about the placebo effect. That's the effect where you take basically a sugar pill, a pill that has no real medicinal value, but you are told that it is, or you think that it is. And sometimes even if you are aware that it is a placebo, it works in stimulating your healing effect. The basis of all of this is the fact that quite often in our world we stress out, and stress induces the fight or flight response. And so many things can trigger that in our world. It doesn't have to be a dire situation. It can be just something we see on television, or something we hear about, or just emails, or too much work, or whatever. It kicks in that fight or flight response that is a holdover from the ancient days of man, when something that appeared to be dangerous would kick in a response in which your entire body tenses up and you're ready to run or fight. But when you go into that fight or flight response, into that stress mode, it shuts down your ability to heal. It shuts down your immune system to a large degree. And that is often what makes us vulnerable. And the ability to heal. So that was something that folks had a lot of interest in. We talked about two books that were of particular importance in that. One was by one of our favorites here on this show, Dr. Andrew Weil. He wrote a book called Mind Over Meds, and that really details what medicines do and how they affect the body, and what things we can use to replace them when possible. Natural things, herbs and supplements and that sort of thing, that can go a long way to maybe triggering that relaxation response, which helps us to heal. And so that was one of the books that we recommended for folks. The other was another book on medicines and mind over medicines, mind healing. And this was pardon me. Oh, we lost it. Okay. Are we still on? Are we there? Okay, good. Pardon the dead air. I'm sorry about that. We've been having some technical difficulties here. Yes, mind over meds. So one of the things, and we'll just go over some of the topics, particularly since we're now in the cold and flu season, so some of the common medications that we use for cold and flu can actually be very damaging to us, and that includes the anti-inflammatory pills that we take, such as aspirin or Tylenol or naproxen.